All right, so now instead of giving us two functions that are equations or expressions, they're giving us two graphs. And they're saying that this first one is a function f of x. The second one is g of x. So when we're working our problems, we're just going to pay very close attention to which one we're looking at. All right, so the very first one, f of 0. Well, where f function is 0, my answer is 4. Again, function f, where the equation is 3, my answer is 2. Where x is -1, well, if I pay very close attention, I don't have a -1 on my graph. So if there is not a 1 on my graph, I know it's none. Where function f is 2, the answer is 0. And now all of a sudden it switches to my next function. Okay, so because I'm paying close attention, I know that I'm going to start looking at my second function. And I know that I'm looking where g is 0. So where x is 0 on g, my answer is 4. All right, I read my next one. Where x is 1, my answer is 3. And g of -2. Well, I don't have a -2 on my graph, so that there is none. Now, I'm going to do exactly what I did for my previous equation, or my previous problem, and I'm going to solve them individually. First, I'm going to look for f of 1. F of 1, well, where x is 1 on f, I know my answer is 2. And then I'm going to look for g of 1. So where g is 1, I know my answer is 3. And I'm going to take and I'm going to add them together. So I get 2 plus 3 is 5. So this is where instead of plugging it in and then doing the math, you're actually finding the answer and then doing the math. So we're going to look at f of 3. So function f, where the x is 3, the answer is 2. And then I'm going to look for g of 3. All right, where g is 3, the answer is 1. And it says I'm going to subtract f and g, so I know I'm going to do 2 minus 1. My answer is 1. All right, looking at j, I'm going to multiply f of 0 times g of 0. Well, f of 0 we already learned from problem A. It is 4. And g of 0 from problem E is 4. So I'm just going to do 4 times 4 to get 16 as a solution. Now I'm going to do f of 2. Well, problem D, f of 2 is 0 divided by, well, g of 2. I'm going to actually have to find the answer. So g of 2, I'm going to go where x is 2. The answer is also 2. So 0 over 2 is going to be 0. Now, if you do not remember, I have a quick little thing for you to remember fractions, to know when it's going to be 0 and when it's going to be undefined. So, quick little note. If it's 0 over a number, it's okay, and the answer is 0. If it's a number over 0, it's a no, and it is undefined. All right, it's just a quick little way to remember exactly which one works and which one is undefined. All right, so very first one. I know I'm going to do g of 0 first. So g of 0, my answer is 4. Then I'm going to do f of g's answer, which was 4. So f of 4, well, if I go to function f, go over to 4, my answer is also 4. Now, this one is a little bit more confusing, but you'll see how it works out. First, I'm going to do g of 1, little g of 1. So g of 1, when I put 1, I know my answer is 3. So then I'm going to find g of 3. G of 3, my answer is 1. So it just means that you're going to take one answer and you're going to use it to find your next answer. All right, so in this case, we're going to do f of 2 first. F of 2 means I look at function where 2 is, I get a 0. And then I'm going to look at g of 0. Well, g of 0 is 4. All right, and finally, we're going to take, and the very first thing that question 8 tells you to do, it says it wants you to draw a horizontal line through each graph. All right, so really quickly, draw my horizontal line. I'm only going to draw one through my graph. Okay, notice when I draw a horizontal line, I notice it hits twice. Right, it hits here and it hits here, meaning it hits 2 times. Oops, as my pen messes up. It hits 2 times on my graph, meaning this determines how many x values you will have for one y value. Okay, so this hits 2 times, so more than likely you're going to have 2 solutions on your graph. For our second graph, it only hits 1 time, meaning there will only be 1 x value per y value. And then this one hits 2 times, meaning you're going to get 2 x values for 1 y value. All right, and finally, we're looking at matching each mathematical operation that is the inverse operation. The inverse means the opposite, meaning how do I undo, in this case, how do I undo multiplication? Well, I undo multiplication by using division. How do I undo a square root? Well, I do it with a square, but in reverse, the same way. How do I get rid of a square? Well, I take the square root. How do I get rid of division? With multiplication. Addition, the opposite of it, is subtraction. And a cube, obviously, to undo a cube, you do the cube root. If you don't know what it looks like, this is the cube root.